One of the most common things that we get in our inbox and also in our clinics is men's sexual health and sex addiction, porn addiction, that kind of thing. If you don't know me, I'm Daryl Gove, and this is
Caroline Cranshaw.
This is WTF Stories and Advice. We are experts in everything, so we think, and even if we're not, we're going to give you our advice anyway. So write in if you want some help with whatever it is.
Absolutely. And if you have a confession or a spooky story or want us to talk about something, we love the sound of our own voices. Not really, but we like to talk.
WTF Stories and Advice at gmail.com. Okay.
All right, let's hear this letter.
Here's the letter, and as always, we're going to change some of the details to make it easy to read and also to make sure that we don't identify you unless you're happy to be identified, which most people are not.
No.
Okay. Hey, podcast folks, I'm writing this with shaky hands from a coffee shop. Hopefully shaky hands and not sticky hands. Sorry. I'm really nervous even to write it down. It's not that bad, but I feel a little bit sick. I'm hoping I think he means, you can make sense of my mess. I'm Bruce, 36, and a tech guy who's supposed to have it all together, but this one thing is crushing me. I started with porn at 13. It was just curiosity after finding my dad's stash. I was limited to times when they'd go out and they'd be home alone. Seems pretty normal. By 17, porn had become an escape for all of the things in my life. Study for exams? No, hours of porn instead. Something stressing me? Boom, hours gone. I got married to the most amazing and beautiful woman at 27, but something happened, or rather hasn't happened, and I can't make it stop. I'll sneak off to the bathroom while she's sleeping. I'll stay late at work for a quick wank before coming home. Even when things were new on date nights, I'd go to the bathroom halfway through to have a quick shake and bake. I once even...
Shake and bake?
I don't know. Maybe he's looking for a variety of ways to say the W word. I once even nipped into the confession booth at church to do it. Don't worry, it was empty on the other side. Each time I need my phone, I've saved hundreds of my favourite images and videos, but I can't stop searching for more, and they're getting more extreme. Last year, my problem peaked. I was knocking one out after our Friday meeting before going home for the weekend, and I hadn't closed my Zoom properly. I lost my job masturbating into my boss's face, who thought, that's mean.
Carol, I'm sorry. If you say masturbating into my boss's face, I'm going to laugh. Like, what am I supposed to say? Oh, that's terrible.
No, I know. It's funny, but...
Well, I guess if I was in clinic, would I laugh?
No.
Probably. No.
We get to...
No, I'd be like, what?
You wouldn't in clinic.
I would laugh with you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what kind of reaction do you expect if someone says something like that? It's easier to write it than to say it. I don't have people saying I'm masturbating into my boss's face. Yeah. Look.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're probably a bit more stupid.
Oh no. Oh God.
Lost my job masturbating into my boss's... I lost my job masturbating into my boss's face, who thought I was a pervert who had done it on purpose. That's quite sad. A nightmare. Now, I don't have a job, it's even worse. I've started chasing the high into real danger. I'm ashamed to say that I hooked up with a stranger from some app. No rubber, nothing, just to feel that rush. Now all I can think of is the next time I'll do it. So, I woke up paranoid, tested, and I'm clean. By luck, but that wrecked me. My wife and we argue all the time. I don't know what to do. We're in counselling, but I can't be honest with how bad it is. And when I try to stop, I relapse every single week. I'm hating the mirror. I'm snapping at our dog for no reason. I'm drowning, guys. How do I kill this beast without losing her? Without losing my wife? Without losing my sanity? Without losing everything? I'm desperate for your advice. Thanks for listening to screw-ups like me. Bruce.
Oh.
Bad.
Oh.
I blame the parents.
No.
No.
Yeah, well, it's not a story I haven't heard before. And I think it starts to escalate, right? It moves into not just porn addiction, but sex addiction, love addiction. And it's a huge problem, like a huge problem. My advice is you need to get help. You need to get some therapy with someone who has experience with porn addiction, specializes in it. You need to go cold turkey. You can't recover just doing it now and then. You've got to look at it as like heroin, and you can't just recreationally do heroin now and then.
The chemical cascade.
It is. It was interesting as I grew up being able to access porn, didn't see anything wrong with it, thought it was fine. And then I started getting clients that were saying, I've got a real problem with porn. I'm noticing I'm getting erectile dysfunction that's getting worse and worse. And when I started delving into it, I realized how damaging it is. And we're just not designed to be able to see that much exciting content. And it just gets sicker and sicker and sicker. And the internet provides, right? So you need more and more extreme content. And then it's like, what else? What else can I do? How else can I get this high? It's like being a Coke addict, basically. But your brain, when you get those huge rushes of dopamine, your brain, your body, in its infinite wisdom go, this is way too much dopamine. So it starts killing off your dopamine receptors. That's the first trigger that you get this rush of dopamine. That then sends a signal to the prostate to get an erection, to get excited. And so when there's less and less dopamine receptors, it's a weaker and a weaker signal, right? So that's why they start developing erectile dysfunction and issues along those lines. The younger you are when you start watching porn, the worse it is, the harder it is to get over it. Older guys tend to be able to get over it much quicker because their brain hasn't been hardwired to porn, right? They didn't start out, their sexual taste wasn't developed by porn, whereas a lot of these young kids, like the average 11-year-old is watching porn and rape and incest porn, which is just like, what the hell?
I think we were lucky growing up when we did. I mean, it's probably why I'm gay, not because of gay porn, but because back then there was just magazines, right? And somebody would have to be brave enough to go and buy a magazine from a shop. And the first time there was a guy in the year above me, and there was only 2 guys in the year above me. So, if you're watching this, there's a 50% chance this is you. And we were in the football pitch near my house, and he had a porn mag, and he opened it up, and all the kids were kind of like looking at this picture of this like vagina. And I remember just thinking, that is so fucking disgusting. I think it probably made me gay. Like, what is that shaven thing? I don't know. Run away, scared forever. But you could imagine, like...
You're still traumatized.
Still traumatized by that to this day. But nowadays, as you say, any kid of any age can open a phone and just access whatever they want, open a computer, access whatever they want. And so addiction starts earlier and earlier and earlier. And as Caroline, as you're saying, it starts this cascade with dopamine and chemicals in your brain and your body. And the thing is with any drug, your body gets used to it being there and it tries to compensate. It seeks homeostasis. It seeks normality. For example, it will kill off those dopamine receptors so that it doesn't have the same effect. And then what happens over time? You need more and more of it. Now, with drugs like heroin, you need more and more heroin, or alcohol, you need more and more alcohol. Nicotine, more and more nicotine. When it comes to porn, you need more and more extremity. You need more and more extreme stuff. You need more and more risk. And that's obviously what's happened with this guy. He's ended up doing it in work. He's ended up sneaking off. He's probably getting a rush from doing it while he sneaks off. And then it leads to trouble. And so cold turkey, yes, but also you should be doing something really fun in your life. Like, what else gives you a buzz? Like, is there a sport that you play or something thrilling? Like, what's wrong with horror films? Yeah, find new ways to get a bit of a thrill that don't involve masturbating into your boss's face.
Yep. You got to be really determined. I think you need to come clean with your wife, not necessarily about having sex with strangers, but you're putting her at risk with what you're doing. And it's not going to be long before it blows up in your face. I would go along to a sex addicts meeting as well, get some support, 12-step programs. But I think you need to tell someone close to you that can then put parental controls on your phone or do something, because we can access it anywhere. It's like being a cocaine addict and then cocaine just comes out of your phone whenever you want it. You know what I mean? So it's so accessible, which I think is very wrong. I'm at the point where I think that porn should just be banned, and then you have to call up your internet provider and say, I would like to opt in. Here's the evidence that I'm over 18. Because I think just people get so out of control with it. It's not a God-given right to get free pornography on your phone.
And if you look at the people in these porn movies and stuff, a whole ton of them are sex trafficked. Like, they're drugged up. They don't want to be doing it. It's not to say that some people don't choose to do that, but a lot of them aren't. They're not choosing porn as a career choice. They're made to do it.
Exactly.
And they're drugged to do it. So there's a human element on the other side as well. And I agree with you. I think that it should be opt-in. Like back in the olden days, if you were at a hotel, you would have to phone up for access to the adult stuff. And so who's going to do that? Not me. It just puts an extra barrier between you and that and accessing that content. But it's a tough one as well, because what we consider porn is kind of changing. You know, now I can't go on Instagram or TikTok without seeing something that I would call pornography. You're seeing men with their shorts and you can see their bulges. You're seeing women with their bikini up their crack. And this is what children are watching. They're scrolling through YouTube and TikTok and see people doing suggestive dances, lots of skin. And so for that reason, I think if you want to beat this, and when we talk about cold turkey, I actually think you need to remove all sources of even softcore porn. So that means getting rid of things like TikTok and Instagram for a while or not using them.
Twitter, X, yeah. Oh, tons. Unbelievable amounts. And they won't remove it either. People have complained and they're like, we're not worried about that as long as it's not child abuse photographs. But the interesting thing is they did this study where they studied people's brains as they watched pornography. And what they found was when someone is in love or attracted to someone, like emotional centers light up the brain, right? But when they watch pornography, what lights up is the centers that light up for a beautiful car or an object. Like if you're looking at lovely art or, car or house or some type of object, that is what gets activated when you watch porn. So it also leads the objectification of people, right? You don't see people as humans with their own needs and wants and desires. You see them as an object to get what you need out of that situation. It's really interesting.
Affects obviously relationships, and we talk about that a lot, doesn't it? It changes how people treat women in particular, but also goes the other way, how they treat each other. And it sounds like he knows as well, though, like that it's not doing him any favors. But that's how old are you now?
He was in his 30s, wasn't he?
In your 30s. Oh, 36. So that's 23 years of using it. And when you do something so regularly, your brain actually rewires. So your brain restructures to incorporate that as part of your life. So what you want is a bit of patience with yourself. Like, don't expect it just to go away in a week. But also, it doesn't have to be that hard. Just being aware that every time you go back and do that old habit, it's reinforcing to your brain that it needs to keep the brain how it was. So it needs to be a long-term cold turkey. So your brain realizes that it doesn't need that anymore and your brain can restructure in another way. A really good thing to do around this time would be to develop your sex life with your wife. So to maybe have some conversations around it. I don't know how much you've talked to her about it, but if you talked about, hey, I've used some porn, and just see if you can introduce some new ways to approach sex and to develop your sex life so that you can start making that the focus of your sexual release, and then maybe find something else as your focus of desire, like get out in nature if you want to look at nice stuff, or go and get a new hobby if you want to get a bit of adrenaline. But get all your needs met, sure, have your stress relief, have your sex, have your fun and excitement, but separate them out to healthy things and make sure you're doing all of them so that you don't end up falling back on this.
You need someone else to help you and to really put in some blocks, because otherwise it's just too easy to access it. And it really does. It impacts your sex life hugely, because it's like your brain goes, this is boring. I'm not having a threesome with women that are just completely centered on my gratification. I think a lot of pornography really teaches men to be bad in bed. Like, it's not female centered, very rarely, unless it's porn designed for women, which men don't tend to watch, right? So it's all just the woman giving the guy a blowjob and the guy just jumping on top and pile driving her and thinking that, and she just automatically has multiple orgasms from this. And it's just a load of shit. The thing is that your brain doesn't release the same chemicals when you watch porn as you do when you have sex, right? You release more vasopressin. You release different chemicals, so oxytocin, so that you feel more satisfied, you feel satiated. And with porn, you don't. And that's why it's like you need more and more and more, right? It's not giving that satisfaction, because the brain also realizes you're not really having sex. And you can develop all kinds of, erectile dysfunction,
A lot of men then have an inability to have an orgasm with their partner because they're just used to having this huge stimulant and like death gripping their penises. So if you want to have a really good relationship, I think I would come clean, maybe not to the like having random sex. I don't know about that, but you need to get help ASAP. You need a therapist to help you, and ideally a therapist who also uses hypnosis to really get into that subconscious. Because consciously, you go, this is wrong. I shouldn't do this. But the subconscious is like, but this is what we do to get off. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's that 13-year-old boy in your head that's like, no, come on. It's just our stress relief. And I think a lot of men do use it as a stress relief, right?
They don't know that they do.
No. And I get a lot of women that are complaining that they're not hardly having sex with their partners, and that then they find out they're watching a bunch of porn and they feel really disappointed. They also cite men who watch porn have a much higher dissatisfaction with their partners and their bodies. So they're comparing them and they're needing this variety. So they're just not excited. So having to take Viagra. And you can really reset this. Like the women on the screen are not a real relationship, but we're hardwired to get that dopamine reward, right? And the brain goes, oh, see sex, get excited. We're hardwired to do anything that's going to perpetuate the species, right? Or keep us alive. And that is like it's drilled into our brains. But I think nature didn't count on pornography being developed and being able to stream it constantly.
Yeah, nature didn't count on that, but we can take advantage of how it works to counter it, right? And the thing with abstaining and abstinence is, yeah, you can't abstain from sex and sexual release long term, right? That's not reasonable. But what you can do is if you abstain from porn for a couple of weeks. So this is my new favorite way to completely rewire a habit. So you can use hypnosis, but I talked recently about fasting for 6 days. I had nothing but bone broth for 6 days. And then after 6 days, one of the first things I ate were foods that I didn't like, that I wanted to eat more of, like kimchi and sauerkraut. That was the most fucking delicious thing I ever ate in my life. It was so delicious. And now I love kimchi. Simple as that.
There you go.
A month without tea because I didn't want milky tea. Introduced mate. Now it's my favorite. So it's a concept that just works. If you just stay away from porn for say a month.
3 months at least, cold turkey.
Yes. However, here the concept is you're going to stay off it long term. But after that month, make sure you're going to have some really good sex with your wife. And your body and your brain will be like, this is what I needed. I didn't need porn. I just needed this amazing sex. And keep staying away from porn. And then what you'll do is your brain will wire to get your release from sex and not from porn. But it has to be forever. Like, just don't let it slip back in. Think of it like smoking, drinking, drugs. Porn is a drug. It's there and you use it to relieve stress or for whatever else you use it for, to escape. But at the end of the day, drugs just draw you in deeper and deeper and deeper. So just don't do it. Don't do it.
The other thing they're finding is, I think something like 88% of porn has physical violence against women, and 50% at least has verbal aggression. So again, it's making you more likely to be violent with a partner and have terrible relationships. The other interesting thing they found is that with men who use a lot of pornography is that the gray matter in the brain, especially the parts of the brain that drive motivation and just drive in general, are shrinking and getting smaller. So they become less motivated, less driven. They more want to just, stay home and watch porn. And so they find when men quit porn, and I see this all the time with clients, is they suddenly have all this motivation and they get more into their careers and they appreciate their wives more and they have better sex and they're having better erections and better orgasms. I haven't had a client yet who quit porn and then was like, actually life sucks after this. And I just went back. Like some of them may have had relapses and struggled with it for a little while. But I find they all say, my God, I'm so much happier. I feel so much better. I'm so much more focused. I appreciate my wife and my partner so much more, or now I'm in a relationship with someone, if they're just happier in general. So I think it's just junk food, right? Porn is junk food.
It makes sense from like an evolutionary point of view. Like imagine like caveman days, and imagine you don't have to leave the cave to have sex, and and you just have these women coming in, and your brain has got its desire and your body's got its desire to ejaculate sorted. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Why do you need to go out and look for a woman? Why do you need to get out and hunt and prove yourself so that you can earn a woman in the caveman days, right? So yeah, it makes sense why the motivation would go down. And conversely, the women stop coming into the cave. I better go out and find one. Where are these women? And they don't want me because I'm not fit or I'm not providing. I better go and get fit and provide. And this is all kind of subconscious. It's not like a conscious thought pattern, but it makes a lot of sense. And again, it can be just rewired using hypnosis to, we can use aversion techniques, which are not my favorite, but also just rather motivating you to be who you want to be, to find. I often think when these things come into our lives, it's not that we're just these fallible people, that we're broken, that we're wrong, that we're bad. It's just that there's an unmet need. So we explore, what is it that you need? Probably stress release, probably a bit of excitement, or there could be something else. Maybe there's some self-esteem issues, or you need some ego strengthening. But we one-on-one, and this is why I think you need one-on-one, is you uncover exactly what the needs are, because you wouldn't do it if it wasn't doing anything for you. And then you replace those needs with a healthy habit. Simple. It's actually not that complicated if you have the right process.
And I think it makes a lot of men insecure about their sexual function as well. Like, I'm always having clients tell me that, like, watch this and it makes me depressed because my penis isn't as big and I don't last as long, or I can't do that. So they're comparing themselves to something that isn't even reality. Like, there's very few men that even can do pornography. They're all using drugs to be able to do it. And it's just like supermodels, right? They're just genetic freaks in some ways, but it's not. Women don't want to be pounded for hours on end anyways. So I think it lowers your self-esteem. It makes you think worse about women. So I think it's that, just realize it is really not good for your brain. It's not good for your relationships. It's not good for your success in life. And I think when people don't have meaning and purpose, they fill it with something else, right? But you're never going to find meaning and purpose in porn. So like Daryl said, find hobbies, go to the gym, work out, get that dopamine going, get that testosterone going. It also lowers your testosterone, right? And men, I think a 20-year-old man now has lower testosterone than a 50-year-old man did 25 years ago. That is how much, it's crazy how much testosterone is lowering. And that is more environmental. You want to get your testosterone up, and you get your testosterone up by working out, doing things that, excite you and make you driven, taking healthy supplements. It's like living a healthy, clean lifestyle. You're going to feel much better about yourself. You're going to want a better career. You're going to up-level yourself. You're going to attract quality women. If you just hide in a room wanking the whole time and eating shit, you're not going to attract anyone good, and it's just going to perpetuate the cycle.
If you're already married.
Yeah, well, he's already married, but he's going to lose it all if he isn't careful. He's on the precipice, and that's great that he's asking for help, but go find a therapist who can help you. Daryl and I both help people with porn addiction, but I don't know where you are. Help find somebody who can help you with it, who can work with the subconscious mind as well. Because I think that is I get lots of people who've gone to other therapists who were just working from the psychological approach, which is great and important. But if you're not working with the subconscious and what's driving you subconsciously as well, it's just much harder and takes longer to get over it, and not as effectively. And I'm all about easy, fast, effective results, right?
Yeah, because why you don't want to come and talk to us or to your therapist about this for 20 weeks, right? Why not just go and do something, get some fast change, and just build on that until you get where you want to be? Caroline, do you have any recommendations of anything to read or anything to watch?
There's an interesting book, which I tried to find recently and couldn't see it, called Your Brain on Porn. He did a really interesting TED Talk that is interesting about when it comes to porn. The book I've read recently is more of a woman's book, but I really liked it, called Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I don't know how to say her last name. That's great. It was a really good book. I liked it. But it's fluffy, kind of rom-com novel, but with a serious edge.
Wholesome.
Yeah, wholesome fun. If you're a girl, I definitely recommend reading it. If you're a boy, I would read Your Brain on Porn, if you can find it.
So I was reading this book, The Brain That Changes Itself.
Oh, yeah.
By Norman Doidge. I always recommend it. It's really old now. It's, 20 or so years old. And anyway, there's a section on porn addiction. And I remember showing it to somebody close, and Just go and see what happens in your brain, and it just explains everything that happens in your brain. If you want to kind of disguise it and not have such an overt book, The Brain That Changes Itself, it has a section on porn addiction where it explains what's happening, and it helps you understand what's happening in your brain and then what you need to do to get over it. And a video recommendation is 2 Girls, 1 Cup. This is a joke. Don't watch that. You can never unsee something once you've seen it.
Oh, God. Yeah. That is, you've got to be older to know what we're talking about there. It is one of the most disgusting videos on the internet.
Do not.
Do not. Do not. No, especially if you're trying to get over your porn. Well, that might cure you of your porn addiction, actually.
Probably will.
It's so fucking disgusting. Another book I've just gotten on addiction, which I haven't read yet, but it came highly recommended, is Unhooked, Free Yourself from Addiction Forever by Adi Jaffe. That is supposed to be really good, just talking about addiction and how it works and ways to get around it. If you're really struggling with things like dopamine, like porn, sugar, stimulants, I mean, we're all hardwired. We're all getting low. We're all hardwired to seek out dopamine, and we're all becoming very low because of our devices and social media and all of that. But take a quiz and see if you might have ADHD, because people with ADHD, and that's like 11% of the population, are much more likely to develop these types of addictions as well. So that could be a factor. Like if you're constantly seeking out ways of boosting your dopamine in unhealthy ways, that could be a sign you have ADHD. And there's definitely some supplements that are natural that you can take. Medication can be very helpful, but that's another thing to look at. Or what are you trying to numb yourself from? What are you avoiding? Normally it's like, oh, it's a stress relief, but a lot of times they're not happy with themselves, with their lives, with what's going on. And so they start doing that as a comfort, but it just makes you feel worse and worse. And it's just this horrible cycle.
Yeah, again, this is where one-on-one help's going to be so beneficial to find out, are you moving away from something? Are you avoiding something? Is there something that's happened that you're not looking at? And you might not even be aware of it. That's the thing. Like we can talk about these things and it might resonate or not resonate, but it's not until you really are one-on-one that you can kind of drill down and find out exactly what's going on. So that's top recommendation from us today. And yeah, just don't do it. Just don't do it. No more porn. Forever.
Stop it.
Forever. Say goodbye. Get rid of it and enjoy. You know what? Imagine enjoying sex with your wife 10 times as much as you ever enjoy porn. Okay? Imagine just it being the most amazing experience of your life. That's what's going to happen. You're going to have the best sex of your whole life, better than you've ever had, because you won't have your brain thinking about all that porn stuff. Okay? So get rid of it, have amazing sex. And if you've got a problem or a confession that you would like to write to us about, you can write to us at wtfstoriesandadvice@gmail.com, and we're going to help you and laugh at you a little bit, but we are going to help you.
Yeah, we're not coming from a place of judgment. We've had our own struggles. We completely understand. There's nothing you can tell us that'll shock us because we've heard it all before. But you absolutely can overcome it.
Except for that chili episode that we did.
Oh,
It did shock us. That did. But apart from that, there's nothing you can tell us that will shock us. What was that episode called so people can look it up?
I think it was, should I tell my husband what I did?
No, gosh. Oh, don't listen to that one if you don't want to be shocked.
If you have a weak stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually there's nothing that shocks us.
I'm pretty unshockable these days, but yeah, now and then. But give it a go. I need to be shocked because I don't watch porn or I need to seek out my dopamine in other ways.
Exactly.
Or watching porn and wanking is the lazy way out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? It's just an easy, you just do it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to make any effort. All you have to do is look at a screen and use your hand and don't be a lazy cunt, right? Like,
because this, at the end of the day, like if you're married, or even if you're listening to this and you're not married, but you're in a relationship or you want a relationship, relationships take work. You can't just be lazy. Okay. You can't just wank or watch porn and then think that the sex side of a relationship is going to be okay. It's not. If you're diverting all your sexual energy in this direction, then you're not putting the effort in where it needs to go, and your relationship will suffer. And what is the consequence of that over time is you end up alone. Okay. So if you want your relationship to last, if you want to have a good relationship, then don't be lazy. Put effort in every area, including this.
yeah. One more thing.
One more thing. What? Okay. One more thing.
As I'll say is I get a lot of guys that have fallen into that porn addiction trap when they're not having sex with their partner. Like something is happening, their partner isn't into it, and so they use that as a replacement, and then that seems to escalate. And I think if that's the case, you need to address that with your partner. And if your partner refuses to do anything about it, and maybe like if they're recovering from cancer or, there's certain times where you're just not going to get what you want sexually, and that's just part of life. But I think it is like, use it as an opportunity to sort things out, to talk to your partner about it. And if they're not willing to ever sleep with you and it's this massive issue, well, then maybe you need to look at changing your relationship as well. Like, it's life's too short to have a sexless relationship. I don't know. That's just my thoughts around it. But I think a lot of people just don't talk about it. They use that. Then the wives feel bad. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it becomes a cycle. And just, you're only as sick as your secrets, right? If you can't admit it, then you're not going to get better.
Yeah, you're really right, because a lot of my clients, that maybe their wife was pregnant at one point, and often they get a lot more horny at certain times, but there's times when there's been no sex, or maybe there's been a difficult birth and there's been some recovery afterwards, or a period of depression, or a period of separation, or living apart for a time. There's all these reasons why sex hasn't been on the table for a while. Illness is a typical one. And what can happen is you get into a cycle of blame. Oh, well, it's your fault, and so therefore, and like, just cut that out. Like, blame is not going to help you. It's not going to help them. It's much more important just to look at what happened, just to put it on the table. Like Caroline said, you're only sick as your secret. So let's just talk about it in the open. Look at what happens next. And, even if somebody's not currently up for having sex, it doesn't mean that they can't accompany you on your sexual journey, so that they can't be with you while you're having pleasure. There's a book, Good Loving Great Sex, by, is it Rosie King? Something like that. She talks about kind of negotiating. It's like you're both getting into a car together when you start having sex, and men often want to get right to the end of the motorway and women might just want to go for a little bit of a drive and go home. And it's not always the man and the woman, it can be reversed. But the idea is that because you've got different destinations in mind when you get in the car, sometimes one person doesn't want to get in the car with you because they don't want to go on a long drive. And so just negotiating that if you get in the car together, you can leave whenever you want. You can get out whenever you want. And where do you want to go when we get in the car? Oh, I want to go here and then there and then there. Oh, I just want to go here. Well, tell you what, why don't you drive and I'll just sit in the passenger seat and choose the music. So she comes up with methods and strategies to negotiate that gap when there is a gap. So when there's a difference in desire, or when one's not up for it, there's some cool things in there. Otherwise, again, bring this up with your therapist. Hopefully it's going to help. But one-on-one therapy, I think you need, not just couples.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you're not being honest, then you're really not getting anywhere. I think a good relationship therapist has an alone session with each person and then brings you together. So you hear all the stuff that they don't want to say in front of the other person. And then the therapist can kind of navigate that without you having to come out with it. So that could be another approach. But yeah, the truth will set you free. First, it'll piss you off, but it will set you free.
Amazing. Oh, well, thanks, Caroline. And thanks, what did we call you, Bruce, for writing into us. We hope this helps. Let us know how you get on, right back, and tell us once you've solved it. We're really excited for you, because now you know what to do.
And you can do it.
You can do it. All right, then. Yep. Don't forget, write in WTF Stories and Advice at gmail.com, and we will see you with another episode next week.
Yes. All right, bye.
Bye.
Aside from my soul,